Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I am Mona, and in today's video I will show you how to create a proper flawless base makeup. It's a step-by-step makeup tutorial. I'll be sharing all the tips and tricks from application to the products, the undertones of the products, and how to properly apply to make it look less cakey and feel very light on the skin. So this is my current go-to process when it comes to makeup. I am really thoroughly enjoying it. It just is super long lasting and it controls oil to up to 8 hours. So if you want to know what are the tips and tricks and everything about this, then please keep on watching. Let's get started. I'm going to start with my moisturized skin. Skin prepping is very, very important to nail your makeup base. So I have oily skin. I use gel based moisturizers to moisturize my skin. So I've also applied some lip balm. For primer, I'll be using the Elf's Dripping Primer. This is a recent purchase, but I have been using this ever since I bought it. This is so good. It just helps my makeup to stick on for a very long time. It is also not making my skin look oily, but I get a little bit of a glowy look when I use this primer. So I'm just simply pressing the product on the T zone of my face, also a little bit on the sides of my face. Whatever is left on the fingers goes on the eyelid area. This will forever be my favorite color corrector of all times. This is the LA Girls reddish color corrector. I prefer the reddish one. Now, depending on the pigmentation's intensity, you can use a reddish corrector or an orange concealer. Orange corrector or a peachy concealer. I use this just this much underneath my eyes, on my forehead, because this area it tends to gray a bit because of the tan issue, and around my mouth where I have some pigmentation and discoloration. I also like to use my fingers to blend my orange color corrector. I also really don't overuse orange concealer whenever I use my fingers to blend it. This is all my skin needs. If you have intense discoloration and dark circles, you can add a little bit more of orange concealer. Now, I also like to conceal this orange concealer with a concealer that is close to my skin tone. Even if it's darker, then that's fine. This concealer from Makeup Revolution is a budget buy. The shade is very good. It's a very, very close match to my skin tone. It's in shade C13.2. It has a neutral undertone that I really like about this concealer. So I apply this on the orange concealer. The pigmentation is also very good. It's very, very light in weight. So if you use the right concealer and blend it with the right technique, it is not going to look heavy and feel heavy on the skin. So with whatever is left on the wand, I'm just simply scribbling this around my face. I'm not doing any weird markings or dots. I'm just properly placing the concealer like so. This makes the blending easy. Also, after the foundation is applied, nothing is going to look patchy. I always use a sponge. This one is from Rene. It's kind of tone as well, but still, this is the part that I'm going to use, so that's fine. So I will be blending this concealer with the sponge. This is going to give me the most flawless effect. Also, my skin really enjoys when I use a sponge. Makeup brushes, I think my skin is a bit sensitive to makeup brushes. That's a reason I give. But another important thing that I would like to say why I prefer using sponges is that I can clean this for every use. But with makeup brushes, I never do that. I just keep it for like at least 2 weeks and then I wash it. So that's dirty. So I prefer using my sponges. I clean it every time I use it. So I always get a cleaner to blend my base products, especially cream products. So with this concealer, you can clearly see how even toned my skin has become. It's like 70% even toned already. I'm just going to simply apply a skin tint on the areas where there are no concealer. So I want to keep my base very light. Already it's light, but further to add more lightness, I'm going to use this skin tint from Smashbox. It's the Halo Healthy Glow skin tint. It's a bit of a tongue twister for me. So yeah, this is in shade medium deep, which is definitely not my skin tone shade, but I like to use this to highlight my face. My face is kind of bright on the center part and on the cheek area. So I like to mimic that using a lighter shade product on those areas. So whenever I do my makeup, my skin doesn't look like one whitewashed product. I just like to mimic how my skin naturally looks, but in a flawless version. So that's what I'm doing here. I also really like this skin tint. It just gives the right amount of coverage and pigmentation. Nothing too much, nothing too less. Also, it gives a little bit of shine to my skin. So this is the result. I think I need to highlight my face just a little bit more with my favorite highlighting concealer. Now this one is definitely not my shade. It's like 3-4 shades lighter than my skin tone. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer in shade 317. This is the last dark shade according to the website that's available right now in India. So I use this just this much underneath my eyes. Now before blending, what I do is I use my fingers again and I gently pat this around the area wherever I need the concealer patch to be, just like this. This will just make sure that the concealer settles here and I don't overboard with the concealer to the areas where I don't need the concealer. So these are the areas where I need my concealer. So once after mapping with my fingers, I'm going to use the sponge to blend this out. You can use a concealer brush, but I prefer using my sponges. Just don't leave any nooks and corners, especially the sides of your nose, this corner of your eyes. It has to be properly concealed. I also take whatever is left on the sponge on my eyelids. This will work as a concealer base for my eyelids. I don't use any eyelid primer like the eyeshadow primer. Instead, I just use the concealer that I put underneath my eyes. Now to set this, I need a loose powder. And for loose powder, this has been my favorite for a very long time now. It's the K Beauty's loose powders, especially the shade Latte. It's like the most perfect lighter shade to highlight my under eye area. Again, to mimic the natural appearance of my skin, I use multiple different shades, like a lighter shade underneath my eyes and a shade that matches my skin tone for the rest of my face. This is just going to simply mattify the base. That's it. Okay, it's been a while since I last used the MAC Studio Fix loose powder. This is in shade medium deep, I believe. Yeah, it's a darker one. I don't know the shade name. I cannot find it here, but I'll link all the product links in the description box. You can check it out. So it comes with a puff, which is great. So I use this powder to set the area underneath my lips, around my lips basically. All right. Bronzer is a must, especially to bring back that warmthness. I don't really like contouring, but bronzing, I'm totally up for it. I cannot leave my house without bronzing if I'm wearing makeup. For bronzer today, I'll be using the NARS bronzer in shade Laguna. So this is a nice reddish tone bronzer, matte bronzer. This goes on the sides of my cheeks just like this. I also like to blend this inside my hairline. I also like to kind of connect it with my jawline. Connection and blending is very important. You don't need separate different lines of strokes on your face. I also mix and blend it with my neck like so. I'm doing the same, but here I'm starting from the lower jawline area. Vertical strokes just for a better blended look. Then I also connect it and do the cheekbones. Now is the most favorite part. I like to bronze my forehead. So this brings back the warmthness, the color, the dimension, the look that I really like. So forehead bronzing is absolutely important for me. I'm not very much into nose contours. So this is what I basically do with the bronzer brush, just on the tips, and that's it. For blush and highlighter, today I'll be using this palette from Makeup Revolution. It's the Duo Blush and Highlighter Kit. This has a beautiful salmon toned matte blush color, this coral color that I absolutely love. It's so good for dusky brown skin. I apply this as my blush with the same bronzer brush. I want everything to look nice and blended, so that's another reason why I use the same brush. I also blend it along with the bronzer, just like that. A little bit goes on the nose as well. I also like to do the W blush thing for my face. I have a love-hate relationship with blushes. So I don't know. Currently, I'm not very much into blushes. So I'm just stopping it right here. I will also finish up the highlighting part. Definitely not very much into highlighting as well, especially powder highlighters. Cream highlighters, it's fine. Cream and liquid highlighters. But powder highlighters, I'm not very much into it. I basically have oily skin, right? So whatever I do, that natural glow is going to peak out after some time. So I don't really actually prefer using any highlighting products mostly. But this highlighter is a very nice, finely milled bronzy gold highlighter. I really like it. Nothing much. Just on the highest points of my cheeks and just making sure that everything is like properly blended. Now is the time to set the face. I'll be using a setting spray from Maybelline. Spritz, 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 spritz. Then you're just going to let it sit. This is going to give a nice skin-like finish. But I generally prefer the nice matte powdery look on my face, especially my under eye area. It has to be powdery and matte. So after this is set, I'm going to top a layer of compact. So while this is setting, I'm going to finish up my eyes and my lip makeup. The face is all properly set. My eyes, eyebrows, and lip makeup is also done. Now you can see what the setting spray has done to my skin. It has like actually added like a layer of glow on the skin. It just looks like my skin but better, but I don't need it. I need that extra bit of matteness. I told you, right? So this right here is like my absolute favorite compact powder. I like to top this once the look is done. So just a little bit and just on the under eye area. I go heavy handed on the under eye area and again just a little bit on the nose and forehead area. Just make sure that everything looks blended, the edges are finely melted, and you are done. One more thing to remember is that your makeup is going to take some time to settle into your skin. At least give it up to like 30 minutes. It will just properly set in your face and it's going to look as natural as possible if you use the right shade and the right undertone products. These are the products and shades that personally work for me. I will link all the product details in the description box below. You can definitely check them out. So that's it for today's video. I will see you all in my next one. Bye.